What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. As a follow-on to yesterday's episode about bells, I thought today we could take a minute and talk about chimes. Each manufacturer had their own method for implementing chimes. Each chime is relay-driven, and typically there are 3 different chime bars in a single chime unit. Chimes were produced into the solid-state era as manufacturers were uncertain whether people would appreciate or use these machines with these computerized sounds versus the pleasing and soothing sounds of the EM chime box. Many people have a preference for the manufacturer that has the chime sound, and what I've found in my ramblings is that most of the time it tends to be the manufacturer that they played the most on location, or that they played the most as a collector. In my case, I prefer the sounds of Gottlieb's chimes. And the reason for this is because I feel like they produce the most pleasing sound. Instead of the plink, plunk, plink sound, which can be prevalent in Bally's and Williams games, they tend to be more musical. Now, there's probably a few reasons for this, not the least of which is that the length and construction of the chime bar itself, it looks like a xylophone key, is different between the manufacturers, but also the chamber which is used to amplify the sound is different between the manufacturers. And I feel like Gottlieb's is probably engineered in such a way that it makes a more pleasing noise than Williams, Bally, Chicago Coin, Allied Leisure, etc. Just take your pick. So, the thing about chime boxes is that you can have various things go wrong. If you have a stuck switch on your playfield, when you turn your game on, a chime will sound immediately and stop. This is a warning to you to turn the machine off. If you don't, then the chime coil will heat up and burn out, and then you will have quite a job on your hands to replace it. They're not terrible to replace typically. As with any coil, it's just a couple of solder joints and then you whip it off, but what makes it difficult are the plungers. The plunger construction on a chime box is different than on a bell or any other solenoid for that matter. They're typically tipped with nylon, and that gives them a surface which is softer than metal on metal, which allows for some flex when the chime is struck. So, aside from the chime bars, the coils, you also have the mechanism that it sits in, and this mechanism, as I mentioned, is used for amplification. In Gottlieb's case, it's typically all metal, and you don't have anything really of low quality or to complain about in a Gottlieb chime box. The same can't be said for anybody else. So let's take a Williams, for example. Their chime box uses 3 chime bars, and they are mounted in a similar way to Gottlieb's chime bars. However, their amplification unit is made out of plastic. It's basically a plastic tub that the chimes sit on. That plastic tub sounds pretty nasty if the buffer or baffling, whatever the word is I'm searching for. It's an insulator between the plastic and the metal chime bars. If that has worn down, which it will over years, then the sounds that you receive from the chime box will be these horrible muted plunks and plinks, and nothing like the strong dings that you should hear. Even with the properly rebuilt chime box, there's just something about the Gottlieb construction which makes a more pleasing tone. Again, I'm not certain what it is, if it's the chime bars or the brackets, or if I'm just a big Gottlieb fan, which it certainly sounds like listening to these podcasts. And I do appreciate much of what they did. So if your chime is firing, you need to find that playfield switch if it's stuck. Or you need to look at your relay or switch on the motor, which will drive the chimes, and inspect that closely. It could be that it's just stuck closed, or the switch tabs are touching, or any number of other maladies. However, once it's adjusted, you should have trouble-free operation. The chimes are relatively simple. They're a little more complex than the bells, but not by a whole lot. There's just more of them than the bells. You have the same basic mechanism. Something strikes something else and you get a noise. So, well, that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can find me at foramusementonly.libsyn.com. While you're there, you can listen to any of the shows, or you can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. And you can listen to us, aside from our website, on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, or on Facebook. Thank you again for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next time.